Hey everybody, Coach Burnside here with you, along with our partner, Coach Cox.
Hey guys.
We're excited to be back again, once again. Today on the coaches corner, we're on the coach the coach scenario, and these are kind of fun and exciting because you guys got to understand, Coach Cox and I, we don't spend a lot of time rehearsing these things. I send Coach Cox the statement or the question or the concern for the day, and he looks over it, and I look over it, and then we get together and we shoot a video. So you have to understand, sometimes it's pretty raw. Sometimes we make a lot of mistakes. Coach Cox today is sitting outside of a restaurant, and so there might be a little bit of background noise, but we just kind of get together when we feel there's that need to pass on some great information. And obviously, as people out there like you, have the question of the day or the concern. So today, the concern is this, and I think it's a huge concern, Coach Cox, for all of us. We get in a meeting with our upper ups and the people that are above us, and we don't dare speak out. We think that, I got some great ideas, but I just don't know what to say or how to say it, or I'm not brave enough to say it. So today on the coach's challenge, or today on the coach situation, it's how do we help someone that's set through these meetings and they know they have some grand ideas and they just don't know how to share them, or don't want to look stupid, I guess, or be embarrassed. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this and the first thoughts that come to my mind, and then I'll let Coach Cox take over and he can share his thoughts. So for me, basically, it's this. If I have a problem sharing something or I don't feel really, really confident in it, and I know I'm a pretty confident person, but there's even those times for me that I struggle, like, man, I don't know if this is exactly what they are. So this is my suggestion to you, or to anyone that struggles with this. Don't make a statement, rather ask a question. So for instance, I might say, instead of saying, well, on the spreadsheet right there, what I think we need to do is X, Y, or Z. I might go like this. Hey, you guys are presenting this spreadsheet, and there's a couple of things with X, Y, and Z that I don't completely understand. Could you explain to me where that's really going to take us, or why we're headed that direction? Because this is what I know. Coaching is about people getting them to create their own ideas, right? So if we want those upper ups to really kind of change their mind and see it our way, don't we have to kind of corral them around to where they come into like, hey, this is a great idea, and it was my idea. And now this is the problem with that. We have to be willing to step back and let somebody else's, your idea that started the conversation might grow into this grand idea, and you might not get credit for it. But at the end of the day, the idea might change, and the personality and the culture might change because of something you suggested, the seed you planted. So this is what I know. In the conversations, we want to just plant the big tree, right? We want to have this overwhelming statement of here's our big tree, and we just planted it. Well, the question is this: how can we ask questions to plant little seeds that could grow into the big tree? Then we're either not embarrassed, all we're doing is getting clarification, and we don't look silly or dumb or anything like that by any means with it. So that would be my thing, is how do we plant those little seeds? How do we ask it in the form of a question rather than being bold and making the statement? So take it for what it's worth. That's my idea. Coach Cox.
Well, I think this is a good principle for us as leaders and as teachers, because a lot of times as leaders we'll talk at people instead of learn to collaborate with them or find out, because as a leader, sometimes we end up painting ourselves in a corner because we end up telling them what we need instead of asking their creativity, because all people on your team have creativity. But some are a little bit more shy than others. We all been in those meetings that one person says everything and says all their opinions. And as a leader, you're like, okay, anybody else have a question? Not you, that person. So you try to skip the one that always has the opinion. But even though the one that has that opinion, you still want to embrace it in a very healthy way. So like what Coach Burnside, which I agree 100%, is instead of being a dictator, you be more of I can't say that word. Be more investigating, like say, what do you think about this? Or instead of closed-in questions is what I'm saying. Because if you ask the closed-in questions, if they're shy, if they're not gonna, they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, I agree," and they're not gonna answer. But if you ask an open-ended question, then they're going to have to look and search what their thought is. But the trick in facilitating as leaders is getting out of our own brain, thinking we have all the answers, so that we can encourage those that are sharing. If you're one of those shy people, some good tips I always share with my shy people is call the leader. If you have an open door policy, go one-on-one with them so you can share that idea, or email them if you're scared to do it in a meeting. But one of the things I think is very crucial is if you don't share those ideas, your idea could maybe change the direction of that company, because you might see something different that they're not doing. A lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of leaders are so tunnel visioned because they're so worried about loss and profit and budgets and numbers that they don't get to see everything outside of that. So your idea is so important. But if you're shy, find a way that you can get that idea out, if it's by a letter, an email. But I think the worst thing to do is hold back and not share that idea. So there's many ways you can do it. I think some ways of doing it is if you're too aggressive, we all have some aggressive ones, and your ideas, maybe you don't explain them too well when you do it verbally, so an email might be more appropriate. And do it before the meeting. Like Coach Burnside always says, a good coach is, prepare them before the meeting. So send the leader or whoever's running the meeting, hey, I have some ideas. What do you think about this? Then they might end up pulling them into the meeting and asking you those questions before the meeting or after or during the meeting. So those are just some ideas, because I think it's so important. Don't let your ideas be sitting on a shelf, but make sure your ideas, one thing I would encourage, make sure it meets what the topic is, and make sure that it's spot on. Don't bring ideas in that are way left field or way right field that have nothing to do with what's being talked about either. So there's also a responsibility on your part when you're sharing your ideas that you stay on point as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, wonderful. Once again, there you go. There's just some thoughts and ideas. I hope that they help move you forward, your team, and build a championship culture, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all after as coaches. And remember, it's easy to forget, but we are the head coaches of our team, whether that's a corporate team, whether that's your family team, a sports team, whatever it might be. So we always have to be on our toes as coaches. And until we meet again, remember always, coach today as if you are the coach of tomorrow.